All right. Here, hello, Toast to Love family, Marriage Uncut family, City Gate family. We got a special treat tonight. This is Toast to Love. I'm Isaac Mcjimpsey.
And I am Jackie Mcjimpsey.
And we're your host, and we have two special guests tonight. Well, all our guests are special, but we related to these folks. So
family.
They're family. So this definitely puts a layer on things. I just want to check that. But glad you're with us. We're starting off season 2 and with Toast to Love. And of course, our main focus is marriages, but we got a little twist tonight with our couple. We have with us, I think about, he's my brother, but Apostle Ryan, he serves in many capacities. He's the pastor of City Gate Church International. And his beloved, his bae, is the Honorable Erika. And we love these guys. And they're doing so much stuff, so many things, and that's their normal. That we're just honored that they would just grace us to be honest. They could be doing a lot of things. But folks, they want to just give some nuggets tonight, and we just want to talk to you. So definitely, we're excited about what's going on tonight. Guys, just as a question we always ask, talk to us about how you guys met.
My version of hers. After 18 years, it's still slightly different. It's still slightly different. But we met at work. I was working for Safe Home Rape Crisis as a legal victim advocate, and she was working for the solicitor's office here in Spartanburg as a family court prosecutor.
Okay.
And I saw her, and I was like, man, she is bad. I was in the flesh because I remember specifically saying she got some bad legs. Like, she got some legs. And we had mutual friends, and our friends we would go out to eat together. Everybody, a group of us in the courthouse. And at that time, I had custody of my godson. And I remember teaching him how to pray one night, and he prayed for a mother. And so God kind of lined things up. And I went to her for legal advice. That was the open door. And after that, she gave me a phone number. I didn't call. I did not call. Shame on me. Did not call. And but that Monday, we got on the phone and we talked, and she had already studied me. She knew I was a believer, and she hit me with some hard questions.
Okay, all right.
Hit me with some hard questions. She was quoting scriptures. I'm like, is that in the Bible, or you making these scriptures up? And kind of the regular love story in that we stayed on the phone late, had a very short courtship. We dated 45 days.
Wow.
We dated 45 days.
Awesome.
And so from December 18th to February 14th, we were engaged.
Mm-hmm.
We stayed engaged 6 months and got married, had a quick courtship, and got pregnant on the honeymoon, and the rest is history.
18 years later.
18 years later.
18 years later.
And y'all, we normally do, and we will do our toast at the end, but happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Celebrate the anniversary.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, every year is just, you're more appreciative because you realize what you have. And wow, 18 years.
18 years. Yeah, we blown away too.
18 years.
So Erika,
like yesterday.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does.
So tell us your version of things.
That's pretty consistent, except for the fact he didn't call me the first time, and short courtship, so pretty much consistent. He has a running joke that I stalked him, but that's not true. He didn't mix it up this time.
She just knew too much about me from the first time. Like, you had to be stalking me because you knew too much.
I did study you before I gave you my number, so I
Yeah, she studied me.
She's smart.
Yeah.
That's
That's
what you're supposed to do.
right. Well, we counsel couples. You guys have counseled several hundreds, probably, couples over the years. It's always great to hear a couple tell how they first met.
Yeah.
It just brings back fondness. It brings back, hey, this is where it started.
Yeah.
So we encourage couples to do that. We see the light. Y'all celebrating our anniversary, and to remember when you first started, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But so we're gonna dive into some stuff tonight that's interesting, and for the most part, to kind of slide into that, tell us, what do you guys have going on now? I mean, when me and you and I text a lot, Ryan, and you're like, hey, I'm here. And I'm like, hey, I'm here. And you're like, I'm doing this. Like, what's at your focus right now?
Wow, that's a wide gamut. Big thing, still pastoring City Gate Ministries, more so as an overseer and raising up others to lead and to pastor and to shepherd. One of the things God spoke to me during the pandemic, I've been in private practice counseling since 2015. And so I remember one day, the church wasn't in the building, but I did the recordings for ministry. And one day I just after doing the recording, I stepped into the office and God said to me, he said, this is your pulpit. Wow. And so I have focused more on King Des. I do corporate chaplaincy, clinical Christian counseling, mentoring, and networking. And just expanding that, doing corporations, but individual counseling and watching God use me in the perspective of counseling rather than preaching behind the pulpit has been an adjustment, but a very fulfilling, just a great feeling, And so that's me. And
I'm still working every day in the legal field, managing the home. So mentoring, doing a lot of mentoring with young girls as well. So busy, just busy.
Yeah, most definitely. So with everything you got going on, how do you manage the children? Y'all are similar to us. I don't know how God did this with siblings. We both have adopted, we both fostered, we both spent a season doing that, and just now y'all let us a transition.
Really.
Tissue, please.
I know, right?
Tissue,
It's
please.
Okay, I got you. I know your pain.
Yeah. We've had a lot of transition. Specifically, we're kind of old school. We're both goal oriented, but we always do a 5-year plan. Since we've been married, we've done a 5-year plan, and we do a yearly plan. So on our 5-year plan, we are on year 3.5. Year 3, and God has answered all those requests as far as property, savings, setting up things, educational goals. But we have our son, Judah, is going to be a senior this year. So it's great adjusting. And Judah is very interesting. He's kind of a mix of us both, but he is really driven in carving out his own path. Awesome. And so as a PK, most time he's been known as the pastor judge's son, but now we're known as the football star's parents. The roles have reversed.
You become, who am I?
Who am I? It's like, I walked in one guy and they were like, you Judah's dad. I'm like, that's my identity. That's my identity. So we're graced a little differently. And so we just kind of use those graces to manage the home, we have an adult son with his own family and kids. And then we have Judah, and we got baby boy Cyrus, who is, I try to call him my best friend, but most time people see me as Cyrus on my hip. That's my helper. So it's something. She thinks differently than I do. So I think it makes up the difference. She's very detail oriented. She's, she can think about the meetings, the games, the payments, the tuition. And I'm more so, I see this going on emotionally. I see this one needs this, so I think we just match our graces.
It's amazing how God puts people together that you don't have to be the same, which is phenomenal. We talking to a lot of people who are dating and in that process, and they think the person has to be just like them. Wow. And so we all know, that's scary. That is. I don't need another me. Good deal.
So I know we've got something coming up in Dallas.
Yes.
Gathering of the Kings.
Dallas.
Tell us what the purpose of the men's conference is, and what would you like to see God do?
Wow, it's loaded. And so in April, we went to visit. We went and sat with spiritual son and daughter in Arizona. And then we just started receiving a lot of calls from other people that we cover in the United States, spiritual sons and daughters, mentors. And one day God just said, I need you to gather the men. And I was like, okay, what does this look like? And I had one weekend, and God's like, that's not the weekend. And he said, find a central location. And so, he said Texas. I wanted Houston.
Yeah.
I wanted Houston. And he said Dallas. And so I didn't have all the pieces together. I didn't. And I really tried to fold on God several times. Like, this is not a good time. We got a lot going on. But God really impressed upon my heart to gather men based on Revelations 1:4-6, that his men are his king and his priests unto his glory.
Right.
And just to impart in the men, to empower men, to build men up. I see a lot of men in counseling. I see a lot of men in mentoring, and just to impart and love on men. Now, the funny thing is, since, setting the King's Gathering, I see a lot of men conferences now. I see a lot of men gatherings. And I was like, God, what is this? Because I know when God speaks to one person, he usually doesn't speak to one person.
Right.
He usually speaks to a generation, and whoever's listening will pick it up.
That's right. Yeah.
So I just think I was a part of the conference call.
There you go. You on the line.
I was just on the line. And I think God really wants to set us all back in order in his body. And he wants to begin with men. He wants to begin with men. And so what I would like to see out of it, I want to see men empowered. I want to see men gain clarity. I want to see men gain their confidence and really delve into the next phase of life. I was speaking with one of the facilitators today, and we were talking about this think tank idea. And so the way God told me to line it up, he said, I have 3 speakers, 3, like plenary speakers. And then I have 3 guys like yourself that's going to lead what we call a think tank.
Gotcha.
And so in the think tank, the purpose is not just to be preached at or to be taught, but it's to engage men to delve.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to do a normal retreat where it's too much leisure. I didn't want to do a retreat where it's all preaching and people come back home wore out because they've seen service.
Yeah.
I wanted something that impactful. And I think men, we do learn differently.
That's right.
I was telling one of the pastors where we covered, one of the first things I told him is, you get a man part of your church, it's like a fish. Once he get gutted out and cleaned up, put him to work.
Yes,
right. We're about value.
Yeah.
Men are about value and honor. And so I don't want it to be just a conference where people are preached at. I really want men to be empowered, and I want the attendees to be a part of their own empowerment. I think, sometimes the treasure is already there. We just need somebody else to dig it up.
That's right.
Dig it up. Yeah. So that's one of the objectives, and I'm so open for what God want to do.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. You and all of us, we see men, whether it's in church, in counseling. What are some of the issues you feel that men are just dealing with, just practical stuff? Yeah.
So one of the things I've had to learn, the beauty of counseling is, you kind of get to see yourself in other people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Woo, that's good.
You see yourself in other people, and most of the time I'm saying in my head, this is not your moment. 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 But men, what I see in men is men, and I just told this to a group in a corporate presentation. I did a corporate presentation about the biblical perspective of emotions. Men have just as many or more emotions than women.
That's right.
We just don't express the same.
That's right.
That's true.
We have we hurt, we're disappointed, we have anxiety, we have depression, we have trauma, we have grief, but society and the threat against the church and against men has told us that we can't express the same way.
That's right.
And so what I've discovered is that men have the same issues, but it doesn't look the same. Right. So you might have a husband, a brother, a boyfriend. He might be depressed, but it might come out as a disconnect or a difficulty being present. Or he lives so much inside. Don't you laugh. He lives so much inside his head. He thought he had a conversation, but he only had that conversation with himself.
Wow.
And even depression in men looks different. It can come out as anger. It can come out as silence. It might not be what you see on a commercial, the overly crying or or the hopelessness. It might be withdrawal, because most men are at some point, if he is leading his family or taking care of his children, he's going to ask the question, God, am I really able to do
Do
this?
this. Am I enough?
Am I enough?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
can I do this? And so I see that consistently all cultures. One thing that is consistent that I've seen in all cultures, all generations, and God has really blessed me to be able to counsel a lot of different cultures, African American, Caucasian, Asian, Latino, is that men have to feel honored and women have to feel secure.
That's
In every culture, every generation,
That's
right.
older, younger, middle.
Yeah.
If one of those two components are out of place, it's going to be like a thread on a cheap suit. It's going to rip it all the way apart.
That's right.
And so, you know, just building men up to feel honored that you are more than a provider.
That's right.
You're more than a protector. You know, even my wife can testify. I am deconstructing some golden calves in my life where I built my value on how good I can be to her and the boys. And God is saying, as good of a husband as you think you are and a father as you think you are, there's more to you than that. Right. And that was a hard pill to swallow because I was only building myself up in the role I play to others, which means I don't get to really surrender to the role of being his son.
Oh yeah, that's real.
Yeah. And so I want to just gather men and love on men and build them up in that aspect. You know, we hear all the time, you know, men pride or men ego, and it's not so much pride or ego, it's a value system, the value of honor. Yeah.
I want to slap you. Can I slap you?
You have before as my big brother, but
no, because you know we studied it and something that was pivotal in our marriage. We went to a retreat and the book Love and Respect, which is when you talk about security, that's what you're talking about, love, and it transformed our marriage. Wow. It literally, I don't think we were on the rocks, but we were in a dry place, and when we went through that, it shifted everything.
Wow.
It's like we both got in the right place in our right roles.
Wow.
And it's just we see it consistently. We love that. I think it's Edgar Emerson wrote the book maybe 20 years ago, but it's a good book. You know, we've been blessed to have phenomenal wives. I think our mother would be pleased that just when God said a helpmate, someone that's supportive, but their own person. God really just couldn't have carved out better people. So my next question to you, Erika, is how do wives support their husband as they go through their journey for emotional, physical, all those health things? How can wives, how can people who are just coming together as a couple, how can they be supportive of that man?
And I will tell you this, I didn't learn this until later on in our marriage. It's probably been in the last 7 or 8 years that I really actually learned how to be a support, because I knew that he, you know, had some things that were burden, you know, say for instance, if I call and say something wasn't right, I could feel him sort of tensing up, like, okay, like he was like serious, like, you know, I need to know how to answer this. And I think I was guilty of putting that burden on him, because if something fell apart, I was me like, what we gonna do? I wasn't even trying to find a solution. I'm like, what are we gonna do? Like,
you should know.
You should know. And I mean, it was just like, you know, because that's how I was raised. My dad was very much like my husband to the extent that he wanted to solve every problem. I mean, Daddy, he didn't want you to do anything. He wanted to be the problem solver, the answer. He wanted to rush in and rescue everyone. And Ryan is very much like that as well. If there was a problem, you know, I looked to him to answer it. And I think he looked to himself to say, okay, if there's a problem, I got to know the answer. And I'll never forget about 10 years ago, he was going through something and there was an issue going on. I can't even remember what the issue was. It was something.
IRS.
Oh, okay. Oh, was it about money?
It was about money. Yeah.
Okay.
It was taxes. Yeah.
And I said, what are we going to do? And he said, babe, I don't have anything right now. I'm doing the best I can. I was like, in the media, I was like, my heart kind of gripped because I panicked, because I was like, wait a minute, if he didn't know, we're lost, you know, because that idea of security is so important. And I looked at him and I said, it's okay. And I think as a wife, and as a helpmeet, we have to release men to their humanity first.
Right.
I mean, because there's oftentimes so much pressure, and I didn't realize, I guess I maybe knew instinctively, but I didn't know naturally how much pressure he put on himself to really be everything to all of us, but leave himself outside of that.
Right.
And it was, I will say, that was the scariest moment of our marriage, but the most liberating.
Okay.
Because I remember we were at the home office and she was asking me about, and in that particular year, we had buried several of our members' parents. And she was like, it was a good Christmas. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, I missed it. And she said, well, what are we going to do about this tax bill? And I looked up at her and the Holy Spirit was like, you going to tell the truth? You know, kind of like, and I said, I have nothing. I said, I don't have anything. And it was scary to be that honest. Because if I tell you I don't have nothing, are you going to look at me like I'm weak from now on?
Yeah.
You know, are you going to look at me like, what are you doing here? I don't need you. But it was liberating because I could finally be truthful and I could finally be honest and I don't have to put on no air. And either we going to make it in this truthful moment or we going to fold and being fake. And so.
And I remember walking away thinking, oh my gosh. You know, I was just like, oh my, I felt like, you know, everything had just crumbled underneath me because, you know, I was used to him saying, oh, it's going to be okay. We're going to do this. I'm used to him telling me, don't worry about it.
That's right.
And he didn't tell me not to worry about it. He's like, hey, I don't know. And I'm like, you don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that was sort of a turning point for him to really be free to express what was going on and to know that I wasn't going to fall apart. I was going to look at him any differently. Actually, I was going to grow in admiration because I felt like then I wasn't being shut out.
Right.
You know, he was free to be who he was because that's important in a marriage that those things come forward.
You know, that is so important. And it's important, family, for you to understand in this moment. You know, that moment of transparency, we've got a gathering of men, ladies, and we get this all the time.
That's right.
Ladies, it's so important that you understand how to be a wife, how to be that support to your husband, because the two of you make one.
Yeah.
So the fact that you don't have the answer and he doesn't have the answer, that's when you can take it to God. That's when that's when we can practice what we preach. We're couples helping couples.
That's right.
If you want to reach out and touch somebody, but you know, there are businesses that you need to keep within your home. That's your business that can nobody handle but us too. But in that moment, in that time, to be vulnerable with each other and to be able to share that's when God can really show up.
Yeah, we realized that I just applaud you guys that men tend to look at stuff as black and white, win or loss. And when we don't have the answer, we go, oh, it's just over. I couldn't come up with the answer. And that's putting undue pressure on yourself. But also, I think in a bigger context, you don't have to be that couple all the time. You don't have to be, we say, the it couple.
Yeah.
They got all the answers and can solve everything. Because for us, we've been that couple where we had to sit across the table and take counsel. Sit across the table and be encouraged. And it's good to know that everybody can support one another and strengthen one another. So those are definitely some great nuggets from it.
So we're gonna lighten up just a little bit. Tell us about your favorite vacation, because I know y'all do a lot of traveling.
A lot of traveling.
Now, it may be different, but tell us about your favorite vacation.
Well, I promised this woman, you know, our vows were, you know, I guess melodious, but I made her a private promise. I said, two things gonna happen in this journey. I said, you're gonna see the world and you're gonna laugh. And when we first met, Erika took herself way too serious. You know, even now the kids, they mock her laughing. Like when she laughs, she's like, and we're like, come on, volume, sound. It's all right. And my motto is a gut laugh a day. Like laugh from your gut one good time a day. So favorite vacation for me, I would have to say, we like to travel in the United States. She's ex-military. She did a lot of time outside the country. And so, you know, our first 10 years of marriage, she was in, was the first 10?
Yeah, Germany.
She was in Germany, and it was kind of depressing. She would go back and forth. So we do a lot of traveling here in the States. And my favorite vacation is LA.
Okay.
Because it's the one place that we and the boys all enjoy. We get to, we get to go to the beach. We get to shop. The boys like playing basketball, on the courts out there. It's just, I don't know what it is, but everything's carefree.
Yeah.
It's different. The culture is different.
Yeah.
But I think hers is.
Mine is Martha's Vineyard. We went to Martha's Vineyard in 2018, and that was just amazing.
Oh, like that.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, we learned a lot of history. Didn't realize that, as African Americans, that was one of the first beaches that was integrated.
Yeah, the Inkwell.
The Inkwell. And so going there, we was there, when I go out, I'm just tank top shorts, and so people were just like greeting us and real nice to us. And we was like, okay, something going on here.
Yeah.
And everybody was, and finally a group from Chicago was like, well, who are y'all? We know y'all somebody. You can just tell. We was like, no, we just citizens. And, the fact that just being there and the prosperity there, the peace is there. It's totally different. It's not a Russia. It's not a Miami. It's not a Puerto Rico. It's not a Jamaica. It's very settled, serene, and it literally settles your spirit and makes you enjoy the moment. So I would say Martha's Vineyard number 2 too. Yeah, I would say yeah.
One of the things I thought about, and we love to travel as well, and it just does your family, it lifts your family, it gives them, and also it gives our children a new perspective. The world is so much bigger than South Carolina, and we love the South, but it's there's a whole world out there to be explored and lived in. I was thinking about some of the things, getting back to the gathering of the kings, and I just want to applaud you personally for the boldness. And to have enough confidence, not in just yourself, but in God, that He would allow you to do it. I just want to say that to you, that I admire that.
I appreciate
it. Keep going. Don't stop, because it's, as we know, it's a lot bigger than what we see. God has a whole perspective that He's just giving us pieces. Yeah. He's just giving us a little piece of it. So if a man wanted to come to the conference, tell us, Ryan, how do they get there? Because I want to try to get some men there.
Good deal. Yeah. So one of the things God said, and I do have vision. I got long vision. So I'm not saying this will be annual or every 6 months. I'm just putting my heart into this one. If a man wants to come, there's no registration. Wow. We just want them to go to Eventbrite and register at King's Gathering on Eventbrite. Registration is free, and we just want to do that for a head count.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, no registration. God said the people that I brought in was not a hat pick. It was people that I gleaned from, people that I Google, or people that have imparted into me that I really feel like will help other men. Right. So it's in Dallas. So if you can get to Dallas, I don't know where you're coming from. Flights are cheap. Or get a bus, rent a bus, but we are going to be at the Hyatt Regency.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I've already gone and toured the facility twice. Stayed there, walked around, went sightseeing. I have a concept I live by. If you go there, before you get there, you won't have to act like it's your first time when you go there.
There you go.
So I literally went and walked the city, prayed, walked downtown, prayed, asking God just for grace before the men even get there. Right. God, let your presence be here. Give us the ability to legislate here, make this time impactful. And so it's free. The Lord gave me instructions to make it free, and gave me instructions to bring in the best and to not charge and to withhold no expenses. And I'm like, okay, I'll obey you. Yeah. I've never gone wrong when I obeyed you.
That's right.
And so he told me to do that, gave me that instruction. And I'm excited. I'm nervous. I love being nervous because nerves keep you a little humble.
That's right. That's right.
Nerves keep you humble, but the cost is free. The registration is free. There are men still trying to get there. It was not my intent to make it a big conference. I do want it to be impactful. I want it to be intimate. I want men to leave changed, but however you can get there, if you can drive, if you can carpool, no cost. It's going to be a Friday night, a Friday charge. So I'm going to give a charge to the men. And then one of the other think tank facilitators, Pastor Will Shields out of Arizona. We're gonna co-host the think tank. And then Saturday, 8 a.m., we'll have global prayer, which women are invited to that 8 a.m. encounter. We're going to have global prayer where we're just praying for men all over. We've been getting prayer requests. We've been doing Give Tuesday, where we're encouraging people to give, to sow into the gathering, even if they can't get there, and to give us the name of their husband, their brother, their uncle, their son, their grandson, their nephews. And literally, we're going to lay over those names, pray for those families, call out those generational curses, pray for the impact of those men. And then the rest of the day is, think tanks and speakers. And then at noon, we're having a lunch. It's free. The lunch is free. That's how I feel. Like, okay, God, if this is what you said, I'm going with it. And just 2 days of impartation, building. There is a statistic. I don't have the actual number, but it comes from Acts, I think 16 and 31, where Paul and Silas ministered to a jailer. And they said, if you receive salvation today, your whole household will be saved.
Yeah.
And so there's an evangelism statistic that says if a man gets saved, there's an 80% chance his whole house will be saved. And as I think about that, I'm like, when Paul and Silas ministered to that jailer, like from the time the jailer heard it to the time he got home, and he must have repented, got baptized, when his family witnessed it, they was like, if he did it, let's. And his whole house got saved. A jailer's whole house got saved. I believe with everything in me, if you build a strong man, if you build him up, if you value him, if you cultivate him, it's going to have an impact. Even I myself, just being transparent, I believe that I deal a lot with people who have grief and trauma. And I know for every person that has trauma, everyone connected to them has a piece of that trauma.
That's right.
And so if that's true in the traumatic aspect,
there you go.
In the aspect of salvation, for every man that's empowered, his wife is empowered.
That's right.
His daughter's empowered. His children are empowered. Men, we are progenitors. Right. We don't just carry seed. We carry generations.
That's right.
When I speak into you, I ain't just speaking into Isaac. I'm speaking into your lineage, your generation. You speaking into your wife. You speaking into, And so if we can build a man, we can build generations. Yeah. And that's the mentality I'm taking into it. It's not a numbers thing for me. It is, I want men to be empowered. I want them to be sharpened. And some men that are very honest with me, they know my presentation is loud and rough. I don't want to bark at men. I don't want to tell them the wrong they're doing. I want to build them up. I don't care what issues they have. I don't care what they identify as. I just want to love on men. I want to build them up because I know generations are going to be changed.
Yeah,
generations. Yeah.
Y'all, I see the passion. It's a familiar passion. We can't do anything softly. It's just not in our DNA. and thank God for that. Saints, we're just so excited to just have you listen in and get these nuggets. I'm getting these jewels. Acts 6 and 31. I'm going to go read it tonight because I was thinking the same thought. You're reaching a family, and that family can reach a community. And you, of course, can change a city and a nation just by one man. We're on board with you. What final thoughts would you have for men? What would you say to that man who's saying, hey, where should I put my hope in? Why should I come to a gathering, or why should I turn to God?
Yeah. In my journey of wholeness and wellness, one of the things God continues to remind me of is the man by the pool of Bethesda. And he asked him, will thou be made whole? And I share my therapy techniques with my wife. We have a 10-point breathing that we do every day. And it starts with God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, self, spirit, soul, body, mind, will, emotions. And the last one is wholeness. And we sit in each one of those and we breathe every day. I'm an apostle. I'm a therapist. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a community leader. I'm an author. But I am learning my greatest title is God's son.
That's it.
Amen.
And if I can get a man to see that in salvation, when Jesus saved him, it is beyond your confession that he wants all of you to be whole, so you can be a good son. It's going to translate in, that pressure of being a good husband, being a good father, being a good coworker, even being a good preacher. That will break your spirit.
It will.
But knowing I'm a son, he loves me regardless, and I can be whole in that. That's what I want every man to know. I want him to know that in his sonship, there is a king and a priest that is valued, that is honored. And I made this comment to my wife. Once I had that moment of transparency, it started rolling. Like, she was like, wait a minute now. But, one day we had that conversation, Lord, and I said to her, I said, am I enough? Can I do this? I feel inadequate at times. And she reassured me. I used to have the mantra, and I still do. I wrestle with this with my oldest son. I used to have the mantra, it is not a wife or a child's obligation to heal a man. And so, you got some men that depend too much and they need the constant strokes. And I've always lived under, it's not your role to heal me. I got to go get it for myself. But I want men, and I'm doing it now. Even many people know I took a sabbatical, but before the sabbatical, God told me, he said, for all of your children you've raised, I want you to show them to build themselves a team. He said, but you got to eat it first. So I have a physician, I have a therapist, I have a spiritual mentor, and I have a business coach. And that's my team. And it's okay if at times I got to stand on their shoulders.
Amen.
And so I want men to know that, hey, you can do it.
That's right.
But it starts with your sonship. Your sonship gives birth to your kingship and your priestly duty. And then in that, there's nothing you can't conquer.
That's right.
You got to first be a son.
Gotta be a son.
And it's okay. There's so much value in that. And so, man, don't get me talking.
No. This is good. This is good. We got so many comments on, and thank you so much, everybody, for commenting and participating. I told y'all it was when I think I commented on one of the posts. I said it's gonna be some jewels. It's gonna be some gems. You better come get it. And so I'm sure that from the gathering of the kings, there'll be some lives going out and where people can catch it that way as well.
Yeah, please tune into our pages. We'll have all the media set up. Some of the sessions will not be because we do want transparent moments with men.
Oh, yeah.
So, but the prayers and some of the sessions for definitely our plenary speakers, they will be live. But some of our discussions will be closed because we want that intimacy for men. Right. We want that ability to be transparent. But you all please load on. Log in. If you cannot come, we have Giving Tuesday. Don't wait to Tuesday. Please, you can give at $King Des Network. Every bit of that money will go into the retreat. Send us your names here at Valdez Mcjimpsey or my brother's page. Inbox us, Citygate. Hop in our inbox. Give us your prayer requests for your husband, your sons, your uncles, your brothers. We have an anointing and a grace for men. We are 2 of 3 sons, and we know this is our grace. This is our area to pray and to cultivate men. And so even if you can't come, give us your prayer request. That's right. That name is going to be called out. That marriage is going to get called out. That family is going to get called out. I do believe God has anointed my wife and I, and even my brother and Jackie, for a global anointing, not just to pray for our area, but for men all over. I would not have taken on this task if I didn't believe God told me to do it. One thing about me, I got my ways, but I'm going to obey God. That's and right. I believe this is a global mandate to pray for men, to pray for preachers, to pray for drug dealers, to pray for whoever, a man that he might go back and affect his community, affect his city, affect his family, affect generations. And so this is a burning passion in my heart. And thank all of you for just your agreement with us. I have great expectation, and I'm excited to see what God's going to do.
Hey, family, listen, please do us a huge favor. Like and share this video.
That's right.
If you know someone, this may not be for you. It may be for someone that you know, maybe for someone that you love. Share this video with your family, share with your friends, put it on your page, and let's see what God will move in the midst of just these blessings right here. So we're excited. We can't wait for.
Well, one of the last things we like to do is do a toast, but I would like for everybody to do a hashtag agreement. If you're in agreement, with Apostle Ryan and Lady Erika, if you're in agreement with the King's Gathering, type in you agree. Because I remember years ago, these two were discussing the power of agreement.
Power of agreement. That's our marriage ministry.
Yeah. And some materials coming out with that.
Yes.
How can two walk together lest they be agreed? Lest you come into agreement. And so no one person can do this on their own, and nor do we expect, but we need your agreement. We need you to agree with King Des Ministries and agree with what the apostles doing. And so guys, as we always do, we believe in celebrating. And they're celebrating their 18th wedding anniversary. And so thank you for being a part of Toast to Love. Thank you for all that you do for couples. Yeah. And we just say all the blessings to you and speak prosperity. We speak, God, just stretch you beyond what you see. Yeah. And we thank God for you.
Thank you
all right. So until next time, family, toast to your love.